Hello, watchers, runners, and gods of the time stream. Look to your right and don't kiss your friend who you feel have platonic feelings for. Look to your left and ignore the creepy man watching the girl sleep. Do your little dance, grab a chair, conjure a table, and join us to talk about all things a dungeon run. Good morning, watchers of the world. It is really early here today, and I'm super excited because we have an amazing council today. But before we get there, from excitement, we have a couple of January birthdays that we should shout out, including but not limited to Dave, aka Dogs Wolf, because I can pronounce everything, my girl Vanderslice, Dad Pool, Nimitz Blitz, Valinor Borderlands, Becca the Brave,
Doc Lannister, Lily Dumblesuck fan, of course.
Of course, Jared and Katie both had their birthdays this week. Happy birthday to all of you. You guys are all amazing, and we hope that you guys have and had an amazing birthday.
Woo, birthdays! Is that why we're whispering? Because it's so early?
It is, yeah. That's
Yes.
literally the only reason I'm whispering. Also, we want to remind everybody who hasn't done so already to fill out, complete, and turn in the questionnaire that we put out on the Discord a few days ago. I'm sure by the time this video is posted, we will have relinked and probably will relink again the questionnaire that we put out. That's just about you guys giving feedback to if/when the show comes back and in what form, what kind of things you guys want to see. It's just your place to give your thoughts so that the cast gets to see what the community's thinking. So don't forget to take the time to fill that out.
It's important.
It's super important. And, you know, it's like I said, it's the time for the community to come together and do their part. And if all you have to do for now is fill out the questionnaire, just do it.
Just do it.
Okay, thanks, bye. We have a breaking news announcement that we wanted to include in this as well, which is that the Dungeon Run day and time of Wednesday, 6 p.m., January 27th, the entire cast of the Dungeon Run, including Jeff, are all going to be playing the RPG Fiasco on Twitch, streaming on Jessica's channel, Hello Goodberry, and Ron's channel, Rog Ogden. So everybody should stay tuned. Everybody should tune in and watch it. I know the cast really want our support, and I'm excited to see Jeff get to roleplay. I think that's super exciting. And then after the council discussion, someone I call a personal friend. He's a really, really cool guy and one of the Dungeon Run's artists, one of our really, really, really good artists, Sid Vicious. Enjoy! So now, I'm so excited because we did it yet again by having 5 time zones, if you count Dice and Caves. 5 time zones in 3 countries in this council that we're about to summon. We were going over episode 77. There's actually a lot going on.
Yeah.
Let's get started because it's early. So let's bring on the amazing Crazy Kate and Eldritch.
Hey! Good morning.
How are you guys?
Afternoon, yes.
Yeah. So why don't you guys quickly tell everybody where you're from in case they don't know?
Yeah. I'm from the UK.
We all know where Kate's from, but Kate, tell people who don't know your shy, cute little self.
I'm from southern Germany.
We're here to, it's. I'm so excited because these two are both first timing on the watch party, and I am so happy that they are gracing us with their presence today. It's exciting. And I thought we have seriously so much to dive into this episode that we should just dive right in. Let's start with, of everything we talked about. How did this episode, right after the punch? So what was Renee, start? What was the first, there was a lot going on.
Yeah, okay, so, when we talked the last time, it was like, man, I wish somebody would have intervened. And then, so, we pick up this time, and they're like, whoa, hey, yo, we're drunk. Let's chill out. Let's all just take a deep breath and calm it down, go our ways and whatnot. So, at least there was that consolation. There was no big escalation there. And I liked that, and I thought it was funny that Sid was like, honestly, I expected worse. So, at least there was that.
He was like, that went well.
Yeah, and Uggo was proud of himself. He didn't kill the guy. I mean, there was the punch, but at least, he stood up for his friend. And so, there was that. I was proud of him for that. And I think everybody was like, well, we stood our ground, I guess, but that's probably bad. So on the bad side, they didn't have the vermin per se doing the things that they had asked. But, then Civ goes and fixes it with his little pocket note. So that was good. And then we had our little plan, and we head off and we do our little plansy doodles.
We found out about the cheesemonger.
We did.
In general.
Yes, we found out a bit more about that, which is interesting.
In case anyone's curious, he does. Well, I think Jared actually said he did sell cheese.
He said, he said that quite a few times, and I think there was still confusion about whether or not he did monger cheese, and so multiple times that was his front. It was cheese.
Like, you've got to actually sell something for it to be a front, otherwise it would be a terrible front.
Exactly. So true. He would fail miserably.
But we did find about that, and then yes, in Civ's pocket note, like you mentioned, Renee, he slipped to Lilia.
Yeah.
To
That's
meet
close.
him. Yeah, to have a.
You did great.
Thanks. To have like a midnight meeting, which oddly enough, he asked Fahima to come with him in this endeavor. So why don't we talk about that first? Seriously, I can't. There's actually so much to talk about when we were like, wait, just to quickly recap. Chloe, what are your thoughts on the midnight meeting that took place?
Yeah, it literally, when Civ was like, oh, Fahima, I think you should come with me because it seems like you two get on. And I really the first time I didn't twig, but I watched it back and I was like, is Civ trying to set them up? And I was like, is it because it seemed a little bit like he might have been thinking, oh, she's just had a bit of a breakup. How can I cheer her up? Let's set her up with this other cool lady. And I was like, it's probably not great, but it did make me chuckle a bit. Yeah, and then like when we get there and Fahima has all the sort of butting heads with Lelia about. See, I can't say it either. About like good and bad and stuff, and I was like, "Whoa, this is getting a bit heavier than I expected it to."
Right, for a setup.
Yeah, you literally just think, "Oh, they're going to turn up and be like, hey, can you get us this stuff for us? Can you tell us what's going on?" And then suddenly there's this big morality, is they're really good and evil kind of thing, and you're like, "Ooh."
This was probably one of my favorite parts of the entire episode. Not that this episode wasn't amazing, but like I really, really loved that conversation between them. And it was almost, yeah, I know you and I already talked about this conversation in length because we couldn't help ourselves.
I know.
But it was like Lilia kind of almost condescendingly, almost kind of like, oh, poor child, was kind of telling Fahima in her perspective, you're a cute little, kind of almost entitled little child. Like, you don't understand how the world works because she,
naive. She said naive. Yeah.
Yes, naive. Yeah, because it was like that's what started it. When Fahima was like, "Can you promise whatever we get, you're gonna use for good?" And that's what started. That's what triggered Lilia to start. And she was just like, "There is no. What are you talking about? There is no good, bad. There's just." Exist, kill, or be killed. You're alive or you're not alive. But I just loved how she kind of showed her perspective. And this is life here, and you still don't understand what it's like here. But it was such just a down to earth conversation. And then I thought it was interesting how Fahima kind of fired back and was like, "No, I've seen evil," which. I don't know if I necessarily agree with, but I found it very interesting. I just loved that conversation.
Yeah, she wasn't convinced.
It's super interesting to put like characters like Fahima where it's like, yes, we've got good and bad, and put them in Oldsvatch where everything is like a sort of murky, everything's a bit bad kind of thing. And I think it's really interesting. I think it's still going to be interesting when we carry on with like that juxtaposition of having heroes and there are no heroes kind of thing.
But I think that's what makes this is what I think also pulls together Civ's story anyway, because you've got the never seen good stay good, never seen bad that doesn't get worse bubble, and then you've got everybody else's good bad bubble. So Civ has that murky bubble and everybody else has the clear cut bubble. So when he gets out there and he sees that good can be good, and there is actual good out there, so then his bubble starts to get a little less murky, I think, maybe, and he does see there is some good out there, and that's not as gray. There are shades of good, and there are definite shades of bad, or things that are bad or evil. I think that's where you see his character's not as gray per se.
It gets a bit more separation.
Right.
Lighter on the top, darker on the bottom, and in between there's still the
So it's not all as Oldswatch or all as shady. It's coming out of said bubble, right?
But unintentionally, exactly what you guys are all describing is one of the things that made that scene so close to me, like my heart, is because everything you're saying is true, and it's almost as if like Civ, the one we know is always having a hard time with who he is, who he wants to be, where he's going to fall. It's almost as if he is watching his two types of morality, his two types of thinking, literally go back and forth with each other. Like, he got to sit back and witness everything that he struggles with play out in front of him. And I know obviously the show is organic, it's not planned, but just like, how deep is that? Like, he's literally like, oh man, like, this is his struggle right here. This is who he's been and who he's been fighting to be this whole time. And here they are fighting in front of him. And just like Civ, I don't really think there was a clear answer, right? Bahima didn't agree with Lilia, and Lilia didn't agree with Bahima. At the end of the day, it was just like, what you gonna do? Like, you have to make a stance, but there isn't necessarily a right or wrong way of thinking, right?
I think that's the point, though. I think there is no like clear-cut answer. Right. It's everybody's their own judge of where that line is, possibly. And then you've got that awkward transition at the end where Fahim's like, so, about those ear piercings.
You beat me to it. So I'm definitely going to be... I'm just going to get it out there right away. So this episode was fantastic. However, I'm going to be upfront. I am not one for cheesy, excessive romance. Not my thing. So I'm going to let you guys take on all that. But I didn't... To me, that was the only thing that was like, oh, because they were literally having this debate, and I would argue Lilia was even being condescending, She's like, oh, you poor little child. So I just thought it was a little strange that Bahima was like, yeah, we just had this really awkward, deep conversation. We just learned we have not anything in common. And she's like, so that piercing later, right? And I was like, would you really start flirting with someone that just kind of talked down to you? It was weird to me. I was like, huh?
Was it flirting, or was it just kind of deviating from a subject where she kind of saw that they couldn't agree upon? So kind of
like a funny haha.
Yeah, switching the topic. Let's go to something nicer.
I took it like as an awkward change the subject. This is, I guess we're going nowhere. So those ear piercings though.
How's
the weather?
Yeah. I also imagine that it's something that Bahima was probably thinking about on the way there, like, I should ask her about the ear piercings. And then it sort of got to the point where it was too awkward to ask. And she's like, but I really wanted my ears pierced. And that's something I would do. I would totally do that. I'd be like, but I meant to ask this and now it's awkward, so I'm going to ask it anyway.
And just blurt it out there. Get the ear piercings though.
And then it ends with Lilia kissing Civ.
Oh my God.
Where did that come from?
I know.
I guess my point is this episode was definitely as close as the dungeon run's going to get to One Life to Live, I think.
I did not see that coming, to be honest. I was like, what is happening? Wow.
But I do want to take a second to just remind. I know we said it a lot last week in the watch party, but just again to take a second to give Jeff and Jared just an applause for taking 4 to 5 characters we don't know and truly bringing genuine life to each and every one of them. It is like we walked into an already well-established oil of people and backgrounds, and like they have life into their characters, even though we met them 5 minutes ago. And that's not easy, and that is awesome. And yeah, just congratulate. Like, you guys are amazing. Squatch is killing it.
Yeah,
I love it.
There's even like Gorky and Cheshire, like the smaller characters, that it's so easy for them to just fade in the background and just be like, yeah, these are a couple of NPCs. But they've even got like little differences between them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so great.
Even the way like Sid talks to them, it's almost like he knows how to talk, or how he should talk to each of them based on their past relationships. Like he's all about it. It's fantastic. And then of course, while that amazing conversation is happening, you have James
On the other side of the wall.
on the other side of the wall,
Invisible,
hanging out in the cold.
Yeah, freezing.
Can't see anything.
You had an interesting day, James.
Yeah.
Oh, James.
So then they go to, what happens next?
No, don't you skip this part for me.
Back it up.
Don't you skip this part for me. Because their plan was James was going along in case something happened, he could cast Sending. So the point was he was supposed to be able to see them to know if anything was going wrong, and or read her thoughts to see if she was lie detector. So then they're like, let's see if James detected thoughts, and let's see. So they're like, hey, James, did you read her mind? And he's like, no.
My favorite part was the fact that when he came back in and Sid was like, did you do it? And he was like, nah, man. He was confidently like, nah, man, I was just hanging outside.
He's not, bro. I was watching out. I was watching out for what? You didn't see anything. I could have been stabbed over there. You know, for what? What are you watching out for? Behind a wall.
It was very great.
It's the kind of thing where like you're trying to do something, and then the situation just gets like a little bit out of your control, and you're just like, oh well, my plan's not going to work. Guess I'll just be here then.
I'll just wait.
Yeah, it was
so funny.
I was like, nobody comes in.
Yeah, I guess so.
He did it well.
Yes, he did. He did it, and nobody saw him do it. He was the best. It was so good. So good.
Stealthy James.
So then, after James's amazing plan, what do they go to?
They went to the clock tower, which I also thought was beautiful because it reminded me of Aladdin. I know this is dumb. I know. So like when Aladdin shows Princess Jasmine like the city from his point of view or whatever, so Civ like takes him his way. He specifically says, I'm going to take him my way up the clock tower to show him, or to show them the city. And I thought, to me, they were able to see like Heistrana and all that. And to me, obviously, that's someplace Civ would have been a lot, like looking over the city and whatnot. And it was, again, reminiscent of our talk last week about seeing the city and all of that, and how, probably from up high and whatever, it probably looked like a really beautiful city, and it was probably a really beautiful view. But like from Civ's perspective and seeing Heistrana being so separated, it was probably, gross. It's like to him, it was probably like really like a slap in the face how different the separation was, and how just gross.
And another layer on top of that, how he would talk about how that's where he and Vic would go to dream.
Yeah.
Plans.
And he showed Fahima and James that, and I thought, oh, what a, again, he's showing them his city, and from his perspective and from where he grew up, and I was like, I love this so much. I just love it. I love it so much.
He's really like the fact that he's so proud to show them the city, even though up to this point, all he's been saying about it is like it was terrible and that he had a terrible childhood there and everything. And yet he still comes back and he's really proud to show them. I think it's kind of more than just this is where I grew up. It's like this is what made me who I am, or who I was when I met you, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's a bit more vulnerable than simply this is where I grew up.
I love it. I love it.
I love it. It was so good. And then so your guys' love conversation. So let's put together the conversation between Fahima and Uggo, and then Uggo and Lily, and put them together. Thoughts, opinions?
All right, listen. So okay. So Uggo straight up called her out in front of everybody, which obviously was probably super awkward, like, don't fall in love with her. And she was probably like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. But then I appreciated that she tried to talk to him about it and like kind of clear the air and like, try to talk to him and figure all that out. But it should have been very clear, not very far in, that it wasn't working. But then she consciously made the decision to kiss him on the mouth, and then they're both awkward about it. But she made the decision to do it, and then for the whole rest of the time, she makes things extra awkward.
I love you, Fahima, and thank you for kissing me.
I know. And then she's like, I don't know, Lily. And then I kissed him, and Lily's like, why would you do that? I mean, I guess people talk about love differently, and she's like, okay, I gotta go by. We're in the same room. Yeah, I don't. You did that. That was your decision. You chose to show him by kissing him.
Platonic love.
That's. You should. I mean, like she should have just been like, this is not working.
Bail out.
Okay, bye. I tried. I don't know.
You too? Thoughts?
I just love when, especially Fahima, she does that a lot, when characters like make things really awkward for themselves, because it's just like so relatable. Because I'm like, if I was in that conversation, I would just carry on talking and dig a hole for myself. I probably wouldn't kiss the person.
Right.
But like, it really like, it makes, especially Fahima, it makes her so much more of a rounded character rather than just like, she could just be this like super powerful wizard. Oh yeah, you're the special one. Like, kind of bland hero character, but she's got so much more to her than that. So much many more flaws, and like the awkwardness sort of plays into that. I love Fahima. She's great.
Mm-hmm. Fahima, they're all great. I do want to say, I have to, again, already disclaimer, not my jam, but I thought it was, to add to more of like Renee said, it's not working, so she just kept going. And then she walked in the conversation trying to, with the idea of, I'm going to, defend myself in a way and explain to Uggo what's going on and what love is and all that. And then at the end of the conversation, she's literally, Uggo's like, wait, are you saying that we can be in love? Are we in love? And she literally goes, maybe?
No, not yet.
One day.
Wait, we could be.
Yeah, maybe we could be in love.
Not yet,
maybe
though.
Later. And I'm just like, now I'm confused at what you were even trying to remotely, like, and none of that conversation, those were two very confused people talking, was all that I got. They didn't.
I have to say that I think Fahima was much more confused than Uggo, because Uggo was absolutely clear about what he wanted to say. I love you all equally. Since the point I get to know each of you, I love you.
Yeah.
And for me, there is no difference.
Yeah.
And
exactly my point, Kate.
Fahima always wanted to describe there is a point of difference between loving a friend and loving a specific partner. But for some people, there isn't.
Right. And you're right. He was very clear. He's like, no, I feel you're describing to me exactly how I feel about all of you. And she's like, no. And so she's sitting there trying to tell him how he feels. And he's like, no, this is how I feel. And so, you're right. Fahima was the most confused.
Exactly, Kate, which you just took
Nailed
my words
it.
And made them better, because that was exactly what I was trying to say.
Kate. Nailed it.
Fahima came in and she's like, I have a mission, I have a goal. And then she's the one that walks out super confused. And I have no idea what Fahima's thinking. And to second your point, which I was also going to get to, you and I are on the same page. This, to me, my frustration in both of these conversations was exactly that. How many times, but this is a theme with this group, but how many times is Uggo going to talk and they just aren't listening?
Every time.
Lily did the same thing. Uggo was very clear. He wasn't confusing. He chose his words carefully. And even Lily was like, no, let me tell you what you're thinking and feeling. This is what, Uggo, you don't know what you're thinking and feeling. I do. Let me tell you. Let me help you. And it was like, Lily, that's not how that works. He's as an audience member, I'm like, Uggo, you're being very clear right now. I don't know what's going on here, but I don't know what it is with this
But
party.
I think in the discussion with Lily in the end understood to some degree what Uggo wanted to say. Fahima didn't understand at all. She managed to confuse Uggo about his own feelings in the end, while in the discussion with Lily, there was some misunderstanding at the beginning, but Lily understood and therefore validated Uggo's feelings in the end.
I slightly disagree with you, Kate. I don't think there was an understanding. I think Lily is using her skills of facilitating and talking to just, in her mind, she's like, I don't understand what you're saying. You're not getting it, like what I'm trying to tell you. But that's okay. It wasn't getting anywhere, and Lily, unlike Bahima, knew when to be like, okay. Because even in her love acronym, she was trying to. The whole point was Bahima and Lily both were trying to tell him, no, Uggo, this is what this love looks like. This is what it means. It's one person. They both were trying to do that. Not at one point was Lily like, you're right, Uggo, you can love everybody. Not once. She just kind of went like, okay. Like in Lily's mind, it was like, you're not getting it, but that's okay. Whereas Bahima was like, we're going to keep doing this until you get,
one person, I'm going to tell you over. You know what? Stop. I'm just going to kiss you on the mouth, and that'll fix it.
Right. And I think that's why I agree.
Oh, you want that?
And that's why I agree with Chloe. That's what the beautiful, you can see their personality differences between Lily and Fahima on how they handle the situation. But, and again, this is just my perspective. I don't think Lily understood what Uggo was saying at all. She just knows how to communicate better, and, she doesn't want, it's not important to her to push the issue, so she's just like, okay, cool. But I don't think she understood what Uggo, I think Lily still is like, Uggo doesn't get it. I still think Lily really thinks that. She's on the same page as Fahima, where it's like, oh man, we both failed at explaining this to Uggo, rather than actually hearing him. I don't think Lily heard him at all. She was just like, okay. She just
might
knows
have
when
a point
to
there.
That's what I feel.
It's such a refreshing for me watching that and seeing Uggo repeatedly be like, no, this is how I feel, because so often you get the like, oh yeah, romantic love is more important than platonic love, you can only love in this way kind of thing. And it was so nice to have like a character state, no, actually this is how I experience love, because everybody experiences it differently. And yeah, I think you're right, like both Fahima and Lily don't quite get it, but I think maybe more so on Lily's side than Fahima, but they're both kind of willing to work with Uggo to understand. It just might take a while, because it's not something that people like, that you naturally, because of like the society you grew up in or whatever, you naturally understand. It's going to take a little while to get your head around it,
Exactly, that's what I think Lily was doing. She was like, all right, maybe next time. That's how I took it. She was just like, okay.
But now it's going to be awkward because Fahima's going to make it awkward now. She made that decision, now she's just like...
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? You made that decision, own it, dude. You're fine. It's fine.
Like if your plan was to show platonicness, then stand your ground.
Stop
it's
being
platonic.
awkward. Fine. Fine.
But I think
that wasn't her plan.
Right, and I think what surprised her ultimately was the fact that Uggo reacted. And she was like, oh, that's
his first kiss, man.
That's not how platonic people react. Oh no. Like it was one life to live in a little wrapped box. It was great.
Yeah.
So let's go to the dream.
Yes.
The dream.
Man, so much happened in the dream.
Go,
so
Chloe.
It's just like, it's finally like properly meeting Conroy, and for him to have that conversation with him unencumbered by anything else. It's just been such a long time coming. And then you get all those little tidbits, like where he mentions like, oh, I spent a lifetime with the Aarakocra, and you're like, did you now? Want to explain that? He's like, and he talks about right at the end that, I hope you feel the same way when you learn the truth or something, and you're just like, oh, this was supposed to give answers, and I've got more questions.
Yeah, for me, beautiful scene. And I felt, okay, so I love you, Jeff, but a little bit part of me, in the first time Fahima talked to Conroy, to me it came off very natural of why Conroy wasn't giving information. guys, I feel like I'm being scryed on, we're being spied on. I can't tell you anymore, Fahima, because of everything that's going on. It makes sense, no problem. And with this one, he tried, and he was like, "Oh, what if someone, what if?" And she was like, "No, we're good." So what's going on? And I felt like the non-sharing of information was a little less little less organic to me. It very much felt like, I can't tell you anything until the climax of the story, so please wait. It was just to me, I was like, I get you, Jeff, I get it. We're not at that point. But I wish there was a little more for me in play that kind of made it a little more organic of why he couldn't share just a little bit more. And to be fair, maybe when we do get the information, it'll make more sense. But in the moment, I truly, and this was the great part of it for me, I felt Fahima's frustration. Because she was literally like, "Dad, why are you not telling me anything?" Nothing. Like, it was just like, it just frustrated.
Go on this wonderful treasure hunt. You will get the answers, and in the end, you will find me as well.
Okay,
I still don't feel like it's not nothing. I still feel like it's something.
But like, he just wasn't giving her anything, and I was feeling Behemoth's emotions all over in that dream. And I know we can't talk too much about it because pineapple time and theories, but let's just say his choice of words of, "Yeah, I've lived a lifetime with the Uggo. Had a very interesting choice of words there."
Yeah.
What did upset me a bit about that dream was Conroy almost scolding Fahima for leaving home, because that made it possible for somebody to break into the home and get something of Conroy, which made it possible to scry on him. I didn't like that part.
I left you, and how dare you not go anywhere?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even after she was like, "But I didn't receive any of your letters," which then gives her a reason to leave. He's still like, "How dare you leave?" Whereas I feel like if I was in his shoes, I'd be like, "Oh, something's really wrong. I understand why you left now."
Yeah.
So I agree with you there, Kate. Yeah.
So first, I want to mention that at no point did James have to sit there and watch her sleep.
Oh, yeah.
So literally, James, I love you, Morgan. That's creepy. Could have just dream and went and got a cup of tea or walksy doodle around the block or something. But I was creeped out. I'm not going to lie. Just totally creeped out. I did not feel the way you did, Jess. I felt like if there was some kind of big information, I don't think that I would want to know that over a dream. I feel like some kind of big information or something about my life or whatever, I feel like I would want to know that from my dad in person. Like, I feel like that would be like something that would not like owed to me or something, but something that I would want to know face to face. Like I wouldn't want to like over text message. I wouldn't want to know something that personal and that important. I wouldn't want to know that just like in passing, like I would want to know something like that, whatever. Go ahead.
I agree. I'm not saying that he should have, vomited all the information. And I agree with whatever, because we don't know. Whatever Conroy has to say, that personal moment with Fahima, the whole, "I hope you still love me," or whatever he said. I agree. I'm not saying he should have said everything. But that wasn't the only thing. Fahima was asking about Jordan.
He's alluding to something huge. And she didn't know not to leave. There was probably no note on the fridge that said, "Hey, I'll be back. Don't ever leave the house," or whatever. There was nothing that said don't leave. So how was she supposed to know? Honestly. And I don't even want to talk about the letters. I got my own theories about those. I don't want to talk about those. I just can't. I can't deal. So I loved the dream. I love that she finally, after all this time about wanting to see her dad, "Can I please talk to my dad? Oh my gosh, my dad. She finally got that moment that she wanted. And I loved her little almost tantrum about, "Dad, it's not fair. And that almost like that little fit she threw, and then she composed herself and got herself together and was able to get whatever she needed to say out. And and kind of get all that frustration kind of out. And he could hear that, obviously. His choice of words was interesting. There's a lot. I'm sure there's a lot going on there. A lot. Like a lot. I have my own.
She thinks. And edit that out. To the funeral.
To the funeral, because that was important.
This poem was Chloe, so beautiful.
I was thinking about this last night, like specifically the line where he puts in, "I remember a time," about something I don't know off by heart. And I just like thought back to the poem that was called "I Remember a Time," and I was like, oh, it's like all of Siv's like old life and his new life is like one now, and he doesn't see them as separate things, and he's like, I'm a new person that's the product of both. And I was like, oh, it's such a good poem.
Yeah.
Like, well done, Mr. K-Jack. Congratulations.
Right? Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I just can't express enough, so I'm going to do it again. Vic, we saw her a little more than other people did, but Vic was in the show for a max of what, 5 minutes? Maybe, if you put it all together. And what a genuine, authentic, emotion-filled funeral for a character that's been on screen for 5 minutes. Beautiful. From Jeff.
In total.
Yes, and I can't stress enough how that takes talent. That takes skill. That's not easy to do. And between Jeff and Jared, I can't just the talent. I'm barfing gold at your guys' feet because it's magic. The thing that hit me the most is the fact that Siv said, "This isn't my home. You were my home. You were my happiness, my joy, my everything. Here is the red thistle. Here is how I literally made my identity of who I am as a person, and it dies with you." Just like, that is no small thing, guys.
That's way more than simply like, yeah, you were my one-time lover. It's like, you were everything. And it's like,
he literally said the words, "Vic was my bingo." Like, that is huge right there, guys. It was a beautiful funeral. I cannot stress. Again, it was like we were genuinely mourning someone that wasn't on screen for more than 5 minutes. It was insane. It was an actual funeral, guys. We saw the funeral.
Uggo's ceremony to prevent her from becoming undead.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I cried. I'm not gonna lie, I cried. This show I've cried a couple of, well, probably more than a couple. But this particular episode, like, I cried in the dream. Okay, I'm not gonna lie there either, because it was emotional for me that she finally got to see, her dad. I was emotional, and then the funeral, it got me. That part with Siv and the red thistle and the poem and all that. But the fact that he said that Sivrak was gone. And he dropped the accent then, that was huge to me too, because this whole time he's been torn, and he's been one accent 1 minute, he's been toggling between the two, and he's mostly been the Sivrak Olsvach accent here lately, but now he's decided this one's dead, it's gone, it's done now, and he's switched back to the original accent that we met him with. Which was a huge deal, because it's almost like he's decided, like, there's no more toggling. I've made my decision. This is who I want to be. And that was a huge deal. And I just, every part of that funeral, the whole bit of getting everybody involved with this huge moment that he's been carrying around her body this whole time, to finally lay her to rest. In a particular spot at this particular place, like town, at a particular moment, I lost it. I lost my junk and I was gone. Tissues everywhere. Jared K-Jack, Jeff Gennady, you got me, man.
And that's exactly why I think, and you can't make this stuff up, and knowing that this isn't scripted, like I mentioned earlier, it was almost as if Siv had his own little mini journey in this episode. Like, in the start, he saw his two sides, arguing with each other about, basically, this is why you should think this way, and this is why you should think this way. He got to literally, almost as if he saw the two little, the devil and the angel, like the two first, like, on his shoulder talking. And by the end of that episode, at that funeral, he made a decision about who he wanted to be. Yeah, it was just like his own little mini journey play out in this episode, and it was like, wow,
Yeah,
that's
huge.
beautiful.
It was a huge deal.
Now, final thoughts to the episode.
I'm exhausted. So emotional.
I really love these kind of episodes where like
Same.
not much happens,
but everything happens.
But so much happens.
Yes.
You get all the character details and the like secrets coming out and things. It's just giving more.
Yeah.
No battle, pure role playing, but wow, was it good.
Yeah.
Laughing, crying, everything.
Planning, awkwardness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it all.
But no planned awkwardness.
No planned.
No, not at all.
Do they ever plan it?
I hope not.
I hope not too. Renee, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. No, I mean, they said it, these two ladies said it the best. I laughed out loud with the voguing material girl business. That was hilarious. I literally laughed out loud. I cried. I mean, I love the lore. I love knowing more about backstories. I mean, for no battle, this one was intense and emotional for me. I was exhausted. I can't imagine how they felt after, but it was so good. So good.
Yeah, I think Chloe, I think you both of you, Chloe and Kate, you both said it best. For such a pacing wise halt on the show, there was so much going on in that episode, and like I said, we were like, oh gosh, we have to cover everything, and that takes talent. Again, the cast and the crew and everyone is so amazing at what they do.
They did an amazing job.
They really did. Just personal preference, One Life to Live isn't my jam, so therefore, with everything we've talked about, everything together, I think for a pure role-playing episode, this was a solid 8 episode for me. You can't deny that this episode had it all. This episode, if anything, just Siv's journey alone from start to finish of this episode is just wow. It's good. If anyone denies that, I will. Let's talk. It's good. And solid 8, Kaz, solid 8. It was really, really good.
In my opinion, it was a 9.
Oh,
it was one of my favorites. Really was.
You got a 9, Jeb. You got a 9 from Kate herself. So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed having 5 time zones for 3 countries in this. You guys are so much fun. Thank you guys for agreeing to come onto the watch party. You both were such a joy. And with that said, guys, let's end the show the way that Jeff has taught us to do. Humankind.
Be both.
Sid Vicious, it is so good to finally have you here. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm tired, but that's okay. I'm genuinely in a better mood now that I'm talking to you. So I want to kind of just dive into it because this is definitely a long time coming. You are one of the well-known artists in the Dungeon Run community. So why don't we just dive in? Why don't you tell everybody how you got into the show, how long you've been doing art?
I've been doing art probably since junior high, I guess, on and off. Went to college.
Really?
Yeah, I have an uncle that does landscapes, and he started me doing oil painting landscapes. And some kind of way, it just merged with my love of comic books and cartoons and.
Are all 3 of the things in the back all your stuff?
Yes. I think everything hanging in my apartment's my stuff.
Is your stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so you started with painting.
Started with oil paintings, and then I guess charcoal was my thing for years. And picked up a little painting in college, and now recently just started practicing more with paint than charcoal and pencil and ink. So the poster's the first time I've actually worked in ink in quite a while.
Really? Where did even the sculpture come from? Like, did you just want to try something new, or?
Well, when they polymorphed run into a giant ape. I was like, that's funny. They don't have a miniature for it. So I looked online, and they didn't make a miniature for it at the time that I saw. Now there's some really awesome ones if anyone needs one for their game. So I was like, I'm going to sculpt one. So it kind of started with the little ape thing, and then I'm like, I have all this clay left. I'll make something bigger with it. That's how
because you sent in the little ape mini, right?
Right.
That is so cool. And you sculpted that.
Right. So that was like my first foray into sculpting.
And then you were like, go big or go home.
I had that extra clay I hate to waste, and it just kind of became a thing after that.
So can you tell me, why did you pick Whitebeard?
He was my favorite. I know that was, you were waiting. I was very disappointed when they killed him so quickly, but it was nice to see him come back. Yeah.
Right? And did you sculpt him before or after he came back? I don't know time anymore.
I had started it as they had started their side quest.
Okay, so it was right when he came back, you're like, it's on.
Right.
I love it. Can you just, out of curiosity's sake, tell us what your favorite thing about Whitebeard is?
The Jack Platt's voice probably nails it. Yeah. I couldn't place it until Jeff finally admitted to where he got the inspiration for the voice from, and it's perfect. I love it.
His voice is magic. It really is.
Who doesn't like pirates?
Whitebeard's voice truly does just match him, like his personality, he's, as Jeff calls him, he's bigger than life. And I think it's just, everything about Whitebeard is so perfect. I know I'm in good company for once, so it's just nice to, I know that's how you and I bonded really quickly, was our love for Whitebeard, and then it kind of took off from there. I'm going to steal the Whitebeard sculpture right from your house. It's going to happen.
It sounds on Discord like you're going to have to wait in line.
No, I'm first in line. I'm first in line. I will. So tell me a little bit about your other sculptures. Like, I think you did a little poll about who to do next.
Yes.
I'm curious.
The last time it seemed like Yanmo won, so I had planned to do Uggo, and I was like, let me just poll and see who wants what. And Jan seemed to pull ahead. If I remember right, Jarrett was kind of wanting that one to be done next anyway. So next will probably be Uggo. I might work my way through the Cabal, do old Erdenfurt after, and probably Vic following, but that's a ways off.
So you've done Yanmo and Bargain, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Bargain was the second.
Right. So we voted Yanmo or we voted Bargain? Which one did you poll?
I don't remember if I polled for Bargain or not. It seems like I may have just done that one next.
You chose that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one's your favorite out of all the ones that you've done?
I still think it's my Whitebeard. It's hard to say.
And how long does it take you to do those?
I haven't timed myself. I couldn't tell you. It takes me a long time. I'm not well practiced at it yet.
I'm not well practiced at it. They're just perfect. That's all. It's great. Cool. You take your time with your art, though. I think there's nothing wrong with that. So, what made you want to go to the drawing, back to the ink? What inspired you to do that? Like this amazing poster you're currently working on.
I like big splash pages and things of that nature, and I haven't done that just yet. It would take a very long time to paint it or do it digital. Felt like, so I've been meaning to go back and go old school, work with my hands a little bit, and there it is. It's being made now.
I know you've been part of the community longer than I think a lot of people realize. You've just been quiet, right?
Right. I just kind of lurk in Discord a little bit and see who posts what kind of cool memes and pictures and hop back off. I'm still there, though. I'm waiting to see new art from JD and Carlos and Elliot and Blaze, everybody. I love seeing it. It just adds to. We don't have a source book or anything we can run out and buy full of pictures and stuff. So having that on the Discord, just new surprise every day. Somebody sewed something, somebody painted something. It's awesome. I love it.
It is awesome. Yeah, it's like you guys are the source book at this point, right? You guys are what's bringing the characters to life.
they're already alive to me. It's like they're fully fleshed out as soon as Jeff starts doing a voice and gives you a brief description.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Imagination just takes off and runs with it. It seems like everybody's idea, once it comes out on paper, is they're almost the same. Like Jeff does a really good job creating these characters.
So what's your favorite drawing that you've done, or piece of art that you've done for the Dungeon Run?
The poster's growing on me, but probably the first Instagram group digital photo I did. It's a little rough around the edges, but it was the first nice one I did.
Describe it, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it's just a group photo. Lily's kind of in front, Uggo standing over the party in the back. Fahima's hair is ablaze, Meep's flying over her shoulder holding the amulet. Sid's kind of posed in front holding his daggers, and James is summoning some darkness holding his tome off to the left. Just a
okay, I know which one you're talking about. Obviously, I'm biased because I feel, one, your sculpture of Whitebeard is seriously magical. And then obviously I'm biased because the picture you did of me and Whitebeard is the best thing on the planet. But I'm seriously such a huge fan of all of your work. Like, you are so talented. It is ridiculous. What, out of everything you've drawn for the world of Aang, what's been the easiest and what's been the hardest thing for you to either imagine or draw or sculpt or whatever?
Trying to figure out how to place the plates in Grolago's skin. I don't have anything to look at for reference, really, so that was kind of come up with something and see what looks good.
Yeah, that's not easy.
No, and I only had to do really the bust of him for that little graphic I did. So when I do make it to the sculpture, I'm going to have to figure out his entire body, like where are these plates going? How are they arranged? How thick are they?
Right.
Yeah, that's it was a toughie and will be a toughie.
Well, I'm sure you're up for the challenge.
Yeah. That's how you grow.
I remember he
challenge
says
yourself.
Yeah, I do remember he specifically says it's all over too. Yeah, so it's kind of like better you than me, that's for sure. What's been the easiest thing to draw or to create?
Easiest as far as the show goes. Probably the first little mock-up sketch I did of the Yangmo sculpture. Sketching dragons since I was a kid, so it was just second nature to. Here's a dragon person.
He's a dragon person. He's a dragonborn, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that was the easiest thing. I had a lot of things already floating around in my head I've done over the years. Didn't have to stop to work out where does this go, where does that go.
Right. Okay. So are you even into D&D? Or
yes.
How did you? Okay, so you do play.
I got to play in my first game probably early years of college. Friends of mine played. I think my first character was a druid. And then I've played rogues ever since.
Really?
I haven't gotten to play lately, but there's some of my coworkers are going to start playing over Zoom with some folks, and I believe I'm going to try a paladin out. We'll see how that goes.
Ooh.
It's been a while.
So what do you like about rogues?
I didn't have to talk much, so yeah, that was the easy cliche go-to. Just silent, deadly. I'll be here in the shadows if you guys need me. Let everybody else be the loud, boisterous, talkative types.
So pretty much you in real life.
Yeah, more or less. I don't climb at people's windows and thieve. So.
What's your favorite thing about D&D then?
Just the fantasy aspect of it. It's nice to be able to sit down with a group of friends and just have fun, cut loose. There's rule books, but there are not really any rules, so everybody gets to sit down and create the world together.
Have you ever DM'd or have a desire to?
A few games we used to kind of rotate.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I had a little group, and I'd do a couple games, and then somebody else would do a few games, and that was just how that story ended up developing. We would kind of share in it. They let everybody play as well. Nobody got stuck as the forever DM.
Which do you prefer?
It's fun to play. It's fun to play. I get to do my creating in other ways, so I'll let somebody else be responsible for the ins and outs and all the names and places.
Has D&D inspired you to do more certain types of art stuff, or is vice versa, or like where does your art inspiration come from?
I don't know if recently I would say D&D more so than the dungeon run has inspired me. I'd probably still be working on paintings and things, but it's hard not to watch a game and see them create something, and I just want to make it. I want to see it. I want to see a picture or a poster. That's one reason I like the Discord so much, because as soon as you see it on an episode, you can bet within 12 hours somebody's going to have this amazing mock-up of one of these characters or animals or monsters made up.
Yeah, we do. Some even sketch during the show. Like, oh, I just saw that, and they start going. We have an amazing, passionate, like, community of artists in this community for sure.
Yes, and not just the physical art, but like the music and everything, like just all aspects.
So is there a piece of Ein or the dungeon run that you've been wanting to do but haven't got to yet?
I think everybody's going to pretty much be on the poster other than...
I know, you and I, we were literally brainstorming who else could possibly go.
Yeah. I think I've kind of got most of the space in my head filled in right now, but we might try and squeeze Jorl or somebody in.
I'm so excited to see it. As soon as you're done, I want I'm waiting in line to see it. It is so cool, and it looks so good. I'm really excited to see Nizaron once you draw him.
Yeah, I just kind of got him sketched in like a frame of him right now. I plan to get pretty detailed on him. We'll see. I think the hands of the clock, I might end up making the symbol for the candle queen, just make a longer one and a shorter one for the hands of the clock. Just inventing it as I go. I don't really, I'm blind by the seat of my pants here.
I'm excited. I'm super excited. So outside of the dungeon run, is there a certain type of art style or types of art that you like to do, or like things you like to draw? You can tell I'm not an artist, but I'm trying. like when you're not drawing dungeon run stuff, like the amazing art behind you, like what do you usually tend to go to when you do your art?
I'm kind of impulsive. Let's see here. Terrible at pointing. That one was just something I thought of while I was listening to music, and this one is a friend, and then there's a Wolverine and Sabretooth double over here, and it's just because I like comic books. It's if I get an idea and I have some spare time, and
The second one is an actual friend of yours?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
I bought some metallic paint and wanted to try it out, and hey, I haven't painted you yet. Let's give it a go. So,
is there a certain type of thing you like drawing, like you prefer drawing, like people or fantasy or whatever?
Well, fantasy sometimes. The figures fun to work with. I know I started with landscape, but
yeah,
it was just there's not a lot of action. There's not a lot of life to it. To me, it's more fun to work with a person. It feels more dynamic.
I absolutely love it. What is your favorite art piece in general? It doesn't have to be dungeon related. Just what is your favorite piece of art that you've done?
I have a tendency to not like my artwork after a couple of years.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. If I find something from high school, it's probably going to go in the trash.
How come? Is it because you've gotten better, or you just don't like? What do you think that is?
I just don't as I learn new things, and if I see something of mine that's older, I'm overly critical of it, I guess you could say. Oh, we can't let anybody see this anymore. We'll just get rid of that.
Okay, so when/if you ever get tired of that Whitebeard sculpture, you know who to call, you know?
I don't think I'll keep them forever. We might auction them off to help the show or something one day.
I was going to say, you should. As much as I want it, I think, yeah, you should totally do something like that because, one, it's so amazing. And I think that a lot of people would bid on those for sure.
I want to learn how to digitize them one day and be able to have miniature versions of them. I think that would be pretty cool, but I was waiting to teach myself that until after I had 4 or 5 of them down.
Okay, well you're halfway there, right? You have 3.
Yeah, we are definitely getting there, and it's doable. So maybe we'll be able to have our own little Whitebeard miniature before long.
One can only hope. Do you like villains in general, or is that a coincidence?
Yeah, villains are usually, well, if they're written well, and all of Jeff's are, so villains are usually more interesting to me.
Yeah. More reasons we get along so well.
Yeah. Not to take anything away from the party of 5 that we have.
Yeah. I mean, they're cool. So is there a character that's not a villain that you relate to or like?
It's hard not to relate to any of the characters, really. Like, they're just...
Really?
So fleshed out.
See, because there's tons of characters I don't relate to. You can relate to all of them? Because that's pretty cool.
In ways. I don't know if I can pick one out that I specifically relate to. Like, oh, that's totally me. Just a little bit from here, a little bit from there.
That's pretty cool.
It's been fun to watch Uggo's progression from, especially now rewatching it again, just inability to formulate sentences and words, and now he's giving wisdom out. He's really grown. It reminds me of seeing Rocky. I think I've mentioned it in the Discord before. Like, those first couple movies, Rocky's just having a hard time. Like, his heart's there. And by the time you get to the end of the series, like, Rocky's this old, wise man. He's still Rocky, but he's completely changed. And Uggo's kind of taken that same journey with a twist of rage every once in a while.
Just once in a while, it's there.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that. Just because we just had it recently, the whole end of the year look back on the show in general. Do you have a favorite episode or a few favorite moments that stand out to you that you love?
Favorite moment is watching Jeff run a circle around the table after his...
The castle run. Yes,
that is perfect. Favorite episode? I don't know if I have a favorite. The showdown with the Ashen Mage was pretty good. I might have to, if I had to really nail down one. Like, once they broke the urn and Vicky did her thing, and there's been plenty of episodes I've rewatched multiple times though. Plenty of the side quest episodes as I was making art to try and figure out the Yuan-Ti and the boat, how I was going to do things. It's just nice to have it in the background.
The season 1 finale, right? So part 1 finale was pretty dang on point. It really was.
As a finale should be.
Yeah, right? You would hope so. One can only hope. So you think that they did the finale pretty much justice, and that's yes. What really stands out to you.
Yeah, I think if I had to nail down an episode, that was pretty climactic.
Can you imagine the end of Act 2? Like, I can only imagine.
Yeah, we'll get there. We
will. No, I'm not concerned. We'll get there. And I look forward to more of your amazing art. And I'm sure you're going to find more inspiration on your second rewatch. I'm sure.
I already have something planned. I was going to put objects in the background of this one before I decided to do what I'm doing now. And they were just different things from out the episodes. And I'm on episode 7 now, and I bet I could have a list of 100, just like a Dufo's perfume bottle, or an arrow from this, or this book, or so. After I get done with this one, there'll probably be another little poster of knickknacks, as many as I could fit.
Don't forget the pretty cup. I'm just going to randomly message you random items.
That's perfectly fine. I will write them down.
Just like here and there. It'll be great. I'm so excited. Keep me updated on everything that you do. I'm going to let you know, because like I said, I'm going to start that show this weekend, so I'm super excited. Pirates are amazing. You're amazing. Villains are amazing. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for doing this. Is there anything else that you wanted to tell everybody? Anything else you wanted to plug? Anything else you wanted to... I mean, this is your time, buddy. This is your time.
No, maybe if I'm on here again, I'll have something up and off the ground I can plug. Hopefully. I've got some ideas, so we'll see.
You're so superstitious. I love it. I love it.
Thank you for having me.
So with that said, let's end the show the way we always do. Hopefully we get news about something coming up soon, but if not, be patient. This man has amazing art coming his way. Everybody is hanging in there. We're all doing a good job. Let's keep going. With that being said, as Jeff always reminds us, humankind.
Be both.
Be both.